Hello guys, this is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some Pitfall Infinity Slayer gameplay. Not very often you see Pitfall, especially in Infinity Slayer. If I do get it, I usually get it in CTF, and then have an absolutely terrible time. This looked like it wasn't going to be that much different, to be honest. We came against a stacked team. They looked really strong pre-lobby. They didn't really have a weak link as far as KDs and SR ranks go. You know, obviously they're not the be-all and end-all, but they did look like strong players, and they did look like they've been playing for a long time. We also had a stacked team. It was containing me, Lurker Zero, Carl's Commentary, and Sort Vengeance. Sort Vengeance is a very strong player with a very good snipe. And Lurker Zero is a really good team player. He often, you know, even if he's not doing the best individually, he'll make sure that he's not losing too many deaths to the enemy team, which I really, really like. And he'll, like, assist you when you need him to, which is good. And then Carl's Commentary is also a strong player. However, the beginning of this match starts off terribly, and it starts off with me feeling extremely demotivated. There's points that I get a little bit emo, I suppose, about the way I play, because sometimes I just have this tendency to just overcommit and to turn my brain off in situations where I know I shouldn't, and it's something that really, really gets me down as a player. It's definitely my biggest weakness, and this was just kind of a clear example of it, of me making decisions based on the fact that I felt like I was a god. I felt like I deserved to win these situations, and then was getting punished for being a moron, and this team knew how to punish it effectively. And I lost a lot of, you know, power weapons. I lost a lot of power positions. When you're doing that for the enemy team, especially in Infinity Slayer, you feel really bad because you know that you've contributed to the momentum of the enemy team in quite a strong way. Luckily enough, when the first ordnance comes our way, it actually turns out to be a binary rifle for myself. And that's when I was like, okay, maybe the momentum can swing back in my favor. And I don't do that well with the binary at the start, but then I managed to get like a pretty nice multi-kill, and I feel like the scales were tipped back in my favor. And I'm not going to say, oh, Infinity Slayer was the only thing that got me the win. Infinity Slayer helped me change my mindset, and then that helped me like get more confident, and then start... Well, I started thinking a lot more randomly as well. I was more confident, and I was thinking more, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not a complete idiot. Actually, I can just slow down the situation and think about it for a second. These players aren't really that good. Individually, they weren't godlike, but as a team, they worked really well together. And I want to take you back to a quote from the Smash Brothers community. I love the Smash Brothers community. I fanboy it every 2 seconds. And for the record, MLG Smash Bros is actually taking place next weekend. And I'm for real. Like, it's an MLG event. Anaheim. It's got sponsors. It's got hype. It's got a lot of the sponsors from the Call of Duty realm, like Curse Gaming, if you've heard of them. And I think they have something called, I don't know, I can't remember. I don't really, Mortality? Maybe that's it? I don't know. I don't want to go too into it because I really don't know COD sponsors very well at all. But you're about to see the dirtiest overkill of all time, and unfortunately, you're going to see me choke the kill-tacular. I tried to be really cool, I wanted it, you could see how badly I wanted it, and it depressed me greatly. But anywho, so the Smash Brothers thing is going on next weekend, and one of the top players in the game recently played another player in the community in a friendly where they self-commentated their matches and they played them. And basically you had one of these players was one of the top 5 Smash gods, and the other player was this maybe ranked 100th in the world-ish. You know, he was far, far, far below, and the Smash gods are pretty much considered unparalleled by the rest of the community. But as they're playing this friendly and self-commentating, the player who is, you know, the lower ranked player is actually doing fairly well against this Smash God, and then he begins trash talking him, which is something that's really, really common in that community. And he's like, yo, I thought you were meant to be the best in the world, dude, like, what is this? You're getting trashed. I'm freaking hamming on you. I don't know why I said hamming. That was the first word that came to my head. I'm not a good trash talker, obviously. But anywho, he started pretty much trashing him, and he said, you know, I thought you were meant to be the best. Why aren't you doing good right now? Like, am I better than you? It sure looks that way. And then this player called Hungrybox was like, it's not necessarily about, you know, performing these combos and being the most technical player. There's thousands plus players who are more technically gifted, more technically adept. The reason I'm better than you, and I'll be better than the vast majority of these players below me, is because I can adapt to these situations under pressure. And then he just started playing absolutely beast and destroying him, essentially, which was very cool to watch. And I thought it was really telling, and it's something that I've, constantly picked up on in the Halo community, is that I feel like mindset is such a strong, invaluable component of what makes a good player in a competitive setting. Constantly, I get players of a lower level coming up to me, or coming up to anyone. I'm not saying I'm a god, I'm not saying I should be teaching anyone how to play, but there's definitely some really, really weak players in the Halo community, and they come up and they say, why am I doing so bad? Why am I like so much worse than you? I play so much. I've been playing since Combat Evolved, some of them say, and I'm still far, far, far worse than you. And it's not down to the fact that there's something inherently wrong with them as a player. It's not down to the fact that they've got this lack of skill, they're genetically ungifted. 9 times out of 10, it comes down to the fact that they are self-defeatists. It comes down to the fact that they are constantly negative and they're constantly counting themselves out, and they've lost the battle before it's even begun. And from a mile away, you can spot this, like, negative energy. It's almost like they've got, like, I don't want to get too hippie-ish and too yoga-ish, but when they say, like, someone's got a negative karma, that's what it feels like. It's like you're constantly going into every situation with the most negative mindset, and you're foreshadowing your own doom, that it feels like it's impossible to avoid it before it's even happened, because you've had it happen to you a couple of times and you let that get into your head, and then boom, it's already too late. You've already on the back foot, and then you're like, oh no, it's happening already again. When a lot of good players, they get bad starts to their game. They get moments that looks like the game is completely against them, and this was a good example of it. This was an example of me starting the match and thinking, okay, this is hopeless. History is repeating itself. I'm down already 100 points, and I've been giving so many deaths away to the enemy team. This is something I have a habit of doing in matchmaking regularly. It becomes this momentum thing where you think, oh, if I can't beat a situation this time, I've got to beat it the next time. I've got to run in it. I've got to attack the problem as many times. But that, honestly, is like the worst mindset to get yourself into, because it's just like throwing yourself a brick wall instead of actually taking a step back and thinking, okay, what can I do to develop a counter strategy for this? Something you cannot do in matchmaking is let your memories of matchmaking and your losses burden you in the future. You can't let that something that weighs heavily on your mind, that makes you think, oh, that's going to be a part of my gameplay, that's part of who I am now. No, what you need to do is you need to use them as a valuable tool and a valuable resource to improve in the future, to break down those problems, try and dissect why it happened, and then ensure that it doesn't happen in the future. And this can be incredibly hard to do, especially in the heat of the moment, when your emotions are getting to you, when your mindset's getting to you, and sometimes you just feel a little bit hot-headed. And it's obviously invaluable to take a break from time to time, and you've got to know when to stop, know when you can't physically turn your mind on, and constructively learn from these mistakes that happen. But if you eat well, you drink well, if you've got a good mindset and you're playing with a good bunch of people, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to actively think during the game and actively break down what problems are occurring in your gameplay. I feel like a lot of people are going to watch this video and they're going to feel like none of this will ever be applicable to themselves. Their mindset is not strong enough to be able to switch it around and be able to click their fingers and then suddenly get a better way of playing the game, or have a better capability of controlling how their brain works in any given situation. It's not exactly like I'm going to tell you, hey, make your brain work a little bit better, and then you're going to go flick on a light switch and go, oh yeah, I forgot to hit the brain switch, my bad, it was switched off at the time. But at the same time, a lot of people give their mindset too much power over themselves. They think that getting rid of that negative mindset and that negative energy in the heat of the moment is absolutely impossible, because it will be hard at first. It is an uphill battle, that's definitely for sure. And I can speak from experience. I used to play Modern Warfare 2 back in the day. I used to have one of the worst attitudes of any player ever. I used to go into the lobbies, I used to put on my headset and start going, hey, how dare you use that weapon? You suck, dude! And then I'd throw my controller against the wall like a moron. Must have broken about 6 controllers during that time span. And it happens to the best of us. But at the same time, if you're not actively thinking, how can I improve from these situations, how can I gain anything from these situations, you're really not gaining anything from gaming, full stop. The funnest thing to do in gaming is to set goals and then to achieve them, to see them materialize in front of your eyes, and to know, you know what, a week ago this seemed impossible to me, and now I'm starting to see the parts come together. Now I'm starting to see what really could be possible and attainable in this game. If you're just playing this game every weekend or every couple of days, getting on, raging, and then getting off, this really isn't an important hobby. This isn't really something you can gain from. Remember that gaming is meant to be fun. It's meant to be fun to achieve something, to achieve these goals, and to, you know, track your progress, to become a better player. And you're not going to be doing that unless you're thinking constructively, unless you've got something to work towards, and you're actively pursuing better gameplay. You're actively trying to become a more respectable player and find respect from your companions. And if you're not, it's going to be hard for you ever to get out of this negativity spiral. Anyway, I've been Modest Major. Hope you guys enjoyed the comm. Peace.